You're all welcome to today's edition of How We Met. And so I believe you're going to find this very, very interesting. Today we have a wonderful couple with us who are going to tell us how they met. And I've captioned theirs because I've heard their story before. So I've captioned theirs. The hymn that got him. The hymn that got him. HYMN that got HIM. So you hear about how my sister, my wonderful sister here sang, and my pastor here was thrilled, he was captivated by the voice that he heard at the background. So, but before we go on, I would just like you to like, subscribe, comment on this video. I believe it's going to be a wonderful time. With me here today is a co-interviewer, the on point MC, as I call her, or as she's known, an MC compare, Minister Tomi Omotosho. Yay! And so it's good to have you, Minister Tomi. Yeah. And we have a wonderful couple here. They are going to introduce themselves, but let me just do a brief introduction. They are pastors, they are ministers of the gospel in word and in song. And you'll hear more about them when they introduce themselves. So I'll start with you, Pastor Gbenga Zacchaeus. Just introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself briefly.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be on this show podcast. My name is Gbenga Zacchaeus. They call me a pastor. I'm a pastor, okay, but I'm also a producer. I'm a music producer primarily, and as against all other media consulting related job I do. And here is my wife.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yanoluwapo Zacchaeus, and I'm a music minister and an entrepreneur. I sell akara.
Oh, wow. Iyanu Alakara. She sells akara. That's what she does, And it's not that type that you just go up by the roadside and just buy. This one is packaged one. So it's packaging in this age that we live in. Your packaging matters a lot. So she has the name of her franchise is Iyanu Alakara. That's a very good one. But you need to taste it.
Yeah.
Just eat one, you'll be full like this. All right. So maybe my fellow interviewer will want to say one or two things before we dive into with the couple on how they met. Minister Tommy.
Okay. Hi everyone. Hello, mommy. So good
Thank
to see you.
you.
Thank you for having me on the show today. Very excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to the conversation we are going to be having with this amazing couple here. So, yes, let's begin the show.
Let's start it rolling. Pastor Gbenga, can you start? How did you meet our beautiful sister here?
Okay, so long story.
Cut it short in righteousness.
So I
Don't be
was
interjecting it.
so I was a bachelor. This
Before we cut.
sometime back 2010.
Hmm.
I think I remember 2010 to be precise. So I was strolling in my area where I stay, and then I passed the streets for the first time. I've been passing every other shortcut, but this time I just wanted to do a long stroll. So I passed around the end of the street. The smell of food, fries, hit me, and I discovered for the first time that they were making akara. So I stopped at where akara was being made, and then I bought akara for the first time, and it was good. I made friends with then her sister, and we became friends. And then after a while, I changed location, not too far. But then the second time I came to buy akara this time. As I was standing right where the show glass was outside, I was hearing somebody sing at the back.
Glory.
Hallelujah.
So, and
She
then there's a
was
song.
singing.
The song prior to that time, I was setting up a team. I was setting up a music team, and so I was discovering. I was kind of looking for talent. I was discovering talent, and I've been told how I was going to meet people that was going to be part of the team, but I didn't expect that it was going to be any of them was going to be at that. So she was singing, and she was singing this particular song by Beyonce, was "Listen." I'm at the crossroads. So I heard it the first time, I ignored. Then I think another 1 week later, I went back to the same spot to buy akara again. Coincidentally, she was singing that song. And she wasn't
That
the
song
one-
again.
That song again, and she wasn't the one selling. She wasn't the one selling to me. She was just at the back cutting the yam, singing the same song. So I said, okay, this is not coincidence.
Wow.
So I spoke with her sister. Then I confidently spoke with her mom that is there any way she can come around to the studio? And my mother said, there's nothing she's doing as long as she shows up at 4 in the evening to come and do her akara. She's free. She's just, and that's the long and short story of how we met.
Wow.
That's how I met her.
Wow.
She was singing and cutting yam.
Singing and cutting yam. So we are going to do something very quick.
Okay.
We are going to allow her to sing, and he's going to play, so that you will hear that music.
That same song.
That caught his attention. That that yam, she was cutting the yam and singing. So, Pastor Gbenga, you can see we are behind the piano. We'll just give you space. You play. She will sing, so that our viewers, they will listen to that song. That
Want to listen to listen.
Want to listen to listen. That's the title of the song. Okay. So let's have you, Pastor Gbenga. Let's have you.
Okay.
We'll just make space for you. Just slide in and play. You can sit down.
As you listen to listen.
Okay. Stayano alakara ẹjọ.
So I will just do the chorus of the song.
Yeah, just the chorus. We don't need the whole song. We just want that particular side that caught his attention.
So what you're interested
B flat. Listen, I am alone at the crossroads. I'm not at home in my own home, and I'm trying to see what's on my mind. You should have known. Now I'm done believing you. You don't know what I'm feeling. No more than what you made of me. I followed the voice you gave to me, but now I've gotta find my own,
Even if I was a man, listen specially to that song.
Pastor Gbenga, listen. It's as if she was calling him. Listen.
Listen to me. I'm the one you've been looking for. I'm the one you've been searching for.
Yes. So,
sisters in the comment section, go and be singing.
go sing.
Who knows?
Sing. Even if you are washing plates, sing.
Sing.
She was cutting yam and she was singing. And the man was just passing by and like, no. This is not ordinary.
This is
So
not
if you have your talent, be using it too.
Be using your talent, don't keep it. While you're using the talent, you'll be fished out.
Hooray.
Hallelujah, somebody.
Okay, so I forgot to mention that they've been 3 years in marriage now. So there's a child in the making. there's a child in the mix already. She's not in the making. She's on ground. She's a year plus. So we thank God for your life. So we'll move on to our dear sister. You were singing, listen, all out. She was just singing innocently. She did not know that somebody was actually listening. So, Stayanu.
All right, so he has basically said that we met, but I'm going to,
Say
Your
your own
own
version.
part. Your own version. There's always two sides of the story.
Okay.
So like you said before, we met at the place where my mom was selling akara by the roadside. Um, Actually, when he came to the shop, he was friends with my elder sister, and I didn't understand the likeness that my mom had for him. So I didn't like him because of that. Because it was like my mom was doing preferential treatment. Who is this?
She was giving
brother?
her too much attention to.
In
Then-
fact, let me explain. I don't know what favor I got. Anytime I got there, and I bought akara, maybe 100 naira
They'll
or
give
200
you
naira, she would
extra.
give me 500 naira what?
Ah,
She would add fish. Eba mi fi ẹja sí, eba mi fi ẹja sí. So I was like, oh no, my shame. I didn't know. Okay, no, let me keep my mouth.
Please continue.
all right, so I didn't understand the kind of likeness that my mom had for him, and so eventually there was this particular night he came to the shop, we had closed, and then my sister said okay that she wanted to walk him because he's a very likable person. You can talk to him. It's very easy, to talk.
That's a listening ear.
He has a listening.
That's why you
ear,
listen
yes.
to listen.
So I don't say we should wait that my other sister should walk him or something, because they were talking. So she walked him away. Will you come on, lovely? He was waking. What is it? She was like, "Oh, mommy." She started calling him mommy. Like
my
my
son.
that's my mom. My mom was calling him mommy. I didn't understand the kind of liking that she had. Anyways, to cut the long story short, after some time, he now told my mom that he wants me to start coming to the studio because obviously I could sing. I could sing very well, but I didn't know what else to do with it. I just had the talent. I could really sing. And so when he came and told my mom that I should come to the studio to come and sing, there has a studio, I said, well, that was how I started going to the studio.
Shakara don't end.
So that was how I started going to the studio and started working together.
And he started observing you. Pastor Gbenga.
they were just, team members at this point. There was nothing about relationship. There was nothing about to get married. So at what point did you start, getting in line with that settling down?
Okay. So when I met her, I discovered the Akara sport in 2010. The first time she came to the studio was 2011. That was when I spoke to the mother that she could come to the place and then she should come to the studio. Then she came 2012, and then the first song that we worked on was "Feel My Cup, Lord." That was the first to him. At first, she didn't even believe she could, because there were other people in the team. But when I told her, I said, "Don't worry, you can do it," and we worked on that first hymn, "Feel My Cup, Lord," and it was a wow. Everybody was like,
You were wowed by Feel My Cup,
I
Lord.
think she was about
Yes,
she was
I was 20.
she was 20 years old then. She was going on 20. And it was like, wow, who did this song? Because of the way we did it. Then, but after the hymn and all of that, I, okay, so
Your cup was filled.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't as okay. So how do I say this? When did the observation start? Okay, just in the course over the years, we started working together, and I noticed a liking from my end, and I didn't understand what it was. I felt like I always had this mindset that whoever I was going to marry should be outside what I was doing, somebody totally different from anything music related. I didn't want anything relationship in my job. I didn't want any of all of those. I didn't want anything to look at, and for the fact that there were also other team members. So, but the liking started quite early. And I observed it. I didn't say anything about it. I kept it to myself. I would rather die with it. And I just kept telling myself, look outside, look outside.
Hmm.
So I was in that limbo, in that state for a long time. Okay, so let me stop there. Since you said,
So
when did I make it?
you had liked her from the moment she came to your studio, or even from the moment you saw her at the Akara place, but you were not sure exactly
No,
what you
no,
guys
no.
No,
were
the
No, no.
Akara
The
own was
Akara
to get her
was
as part of
the
his team.
Akara attraction was just music,
okay.
basically. But when
Okay.
she came over and she was always coming to the studio regularly, and we had projects we were working on. The
Hmm.
liking developed
Because you were
over
spending time
over
together.
time.
So you started to
Over
observe that this baby actually fine. Oh, what a kills baby. Not be say she just a bit sing. She actually fine. She's courteous. You're not noticing all of those things.
and she there were things she was doing that I wouldn't encourage anybody to do it, but she was quite responsible. She was well brought up, so whenever she came to the studio, things that didn't concern her, she would fix. She probably would just clean the place, do all the other things and all.
Wife material, showing her domesticated side, and you're
So,
just looking.
and all of that. And um but I was the Shakara type too myself. So
Okay.
I
You're
was
trying
I
to.
was the one that had this very high taste, even though I'm quite humble. But I wanted somebody.
You had
I
your
just
spec.
wanted something that was. I wanted somebody that
Out of
was
this world that
out
will
of this
blow your
world that would
mind.
just blow my mind. But the funny thing was that I wasn't saying anything. So, so the liking developed over time, and as she grew, she she was in school at some point. She was in part time at some point, and as we grew, one day I started coming to terms with it. Okay, so the first time I noticed that it was serious was when I started seeing that some other brothers were showing up.
That was when the veil was being removed from your.
So then I would
That if you
see
don't talk, this is how you will lose out.
somebody was talking to her. That was, I'll be like, okay, go ahead. But the go ahead will be like, wait, what are you doing? And then I'll tell myself that if she's mine, she will come back. But something just saying, you better borrow yourself some brain, But I started noticing that I had trouble with other people talking to her.
No.
I thought it was something that was not healthy, and I was praying against it. But I think it was. So she would come back, and somebody would, she would come back from somewhere, and
Innocently also come back to
maybe
tell you.
she'll come and tell me. Then she would tell me, and
As
I'll
per
be like,
mentor.
Mm.
she'll tell me some stories, and I'll be like, okay. There was one I said, give it a try, give it a try. But when I found out who the person was, I said, then there were times I would say, who is that person? What are you doing with that person? Ah, ah. And that was when I started realizing that, uncle,
You are sold.
there's something in this thing,
Mm.
be smart. But at the same time, I didn't want to put the cat. They say I didn't want to put the cart
Cart before the
before the
horse.
horse. It's because I didn't want that to spoil what
Your
music,
work
our
relationship.
work relationship. So I intentionally didn't do that. So I had to devise a way for us to continue our friendship without promises for when I'll be ready. You know,
When you be ready,
when I'll be ready, and I was the type that
I,
wanted to make all the millions.
you were waiting to make all the million.
Make all the millions.
This is just it's just a caution for those of you out there that are waiting to make all the money before you take the step. Before you know it, if you know God is leading you to someone, it's better you take the bold step as a brother and let her, because she also might be waiting for you to just take that step. It might just be waiting, and which happens to be the case here too. Yeah. She was actually waiting, and we were going to listen to her own side of the story. She was actually waiting for him, but he was just waiting to make the millions before taking that step. But I hope it won't be too late for somebody here. You are looking at someone and you're saying, let me make my money first, let me make the money first. You might just lose the person to another person, and if you now start praying, any prayer you make at that point is witchcraft. You are the only because it was in your domain, but it's gone now. Like he said on our Sunday ministration, don't let loss be when you don't let until you lose something before you appreciate or learn to treasure it. Okay, so we'll move down to our sister Ìyanu Alakara. Maybe I'll stop putting Alakara for now. Let me call her Sister Ìyanu. Okay, so you tell us your part of the story.
All right. When I got to the studio, I just connected with him naturally because of the kind of personality that he has, and I saw him as a mentor because I actually needed a mentor in my life at that time. There were a lot of things that were not clear to me. I didn't know too many things, and because of the background that I had, so I had to do a lot of learning on my own, which wasn't too, yeah. So when I met him and I got to the studio, so he went beyond just music. He was mentoring spiritually. Eventually, he was the one that led me to Christ.
Wow.
Yes, he led me to Christ, and I could tell him anything. I could tell him everything because he would not judge me for it. He would just advise me. He's loving but very firm, very firm. The same discipline that he has on himself is the same that he passes on to, regardless of the age difference or anything. Be like, do it like this. Let's be like this. And when I noticed that he was quite different from the people that I had met, he was genuinely concerned and he wanted to see me grow. I just started liking him. Started liking him, and then I just knew he started behaving one kind of way when I was talking to him about somebody. There was this particular time I had lectures in school, and then a classmate of mine came to drop me in the house, and then he now came out of the gate. He now saw me because we were just trying to talk about the questions. That was it. What do you write? Blah, blah, blah. Just came out. Hey.
Tell us.
His face just changed. Girl.
And yet he had not said
And he
anything.
had not said anything. His face just changed. You know, he wanted to throw out the trash. He now signaled to me that I should come. And how quickly I understood what that face meant. I just told my friend, all right, Kenny, I'll see you later. So came out of that and I went and said, what are you talking about?
Which six? It
It's
was
just
not
past
6.
6.
It was around 8.
Pastor Gbenga's time zone is different.
Yeah, which past 6? It was around 8, 9. I went to throw dustbin last time.
Elosi was already in yes, he did not talk.
He didn't say anything, and I already knew. And anytime I go, I think my mom also knew because of the things he used to say. Then one time I went to visit my mom, and she was like, I went to visit my mom, and she was like, yeah, no, you have Gbenga written over your forehead. Nobody else can come and take. Yeah, Gbenga. That was what she was calling me. She said you have Gbenga's name written over it. And then mommy, like, kill him so. Not worry. So I went back home, and I'd already started having feelings for him. But as an African woman, we cannot go and woo a man. Sorry, I'm old school. I'm young, but I'm old school. So I can't go and woo a man. So I had to wait. I knew that he liked me too, but he didn't want to talk. And me, I cannot talk. I cannot go and woo somebody. And also, I said something. I think I've shared the story at the beginning before. I liked him, but I don't think I was
Good enough for him.
yes good enough to be a wife
For
yet,
okay. Matured enough.
matured enough yet to be a wife. But I had always known, and even I had a dream one time, and it was in my dream. I usually don't at that time. I usually didn't see anybody else in my dream, just me, or only if I have a message to deliver to someone or something. So I saw it in my dream, and I was doing something to help it, which was unusual. That was like the confirmation that I needed, you know. And I'm not sure if I shared that dream with him at that time. I just kept quiet. I was just watching till he was ready. Anybody, anytime he sees me with anybody, who is this? Like, Lily, come. You know, it was.
You need to be focused.
In fact,
He needs to be focused, but you were not coming out.
in fact, there was this friend of his. At that time, I was working on my weight loss. I went to visit him.
Male or female?
Male.
Okay.
So I greeted them and I was going back. Later, he was now telling me that friend of his say, Yano don't grow. He now say, that this person that is been investing in, let somebody not come back. Do ROI on his own investment.
I feel like what that guy said. You try it last one like this.
You are threatening somebody when you have not made the move.
And the irony of it was that there was nowhere I went to, even my pastor. There was nobody I talked to that did not tell me that she was my wife. Everybody was telling me, and it was coming here, it was going out. Not because I didn't want it, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how it would look on my job, because I wasn't. I had, I was just so people were confirming it, and there was a time that we met the owner of Ife. That was the climax. He just looked at us. We all knelt down in front of him, and he just looked at us and said, "You, stand up, go and kneel down beside him." I didn't understand what it was. He said, "Don't you know that that's your husband?"
Wow.
It's You see, that day, I didn't expect it from him. Or if I heard from every other person, he was meeting us for the first time. So he just said, "Don't you know? You want suffering, be pretending there, be doing shakara. Then yeah, two of you stand up, go and sit down there. Stand there, oh yeah, start singing to each other. Oh yeah,
Wow.
start singing. Gbenga, oh, Gbenga, me da, Gbenga." And I didn't want to do it, the people that were there said, "Obambe soro." So we stood up. She was singing Gbenga, Gbenga, Ma Farun, Gbenga, and all of that, and commanded me to go and produce the song, and told us we sang it. I was very embarrassed, but it was one of the liberating moments for me. I think it broke the wall. What was there that day that's come? You can't run away. So then she now came into the thought process. So I started thinking, but my shakara was still on.
Was still on. Was it more shakara or fear?
It was fear. It was more of fear, because I can be a perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect. Um, so where I learnt my lesson came. So during COVID, when COVID happened, none of us had COVID. It wasn't like we had COVID, but I felt so ill that I thought it was COVID. So they rushed me to the hospital. They ran tests and found out that and I was admitted. I've never been admitted in the hospital for a long time. So that particular week, I was admitted in the hospital. My siblings were living far away. And so the first day I was in the hospital, she took me to the hospital. She went back that day. Then I was there for a week. And the only person that I saw that was staying with me in the hospital, she was staying on the other hospital bed close to me, was her. She would go and get food, find a way to prepare it, bring it. And when you're in the hospital, that's the most humble state of your life.
Yeah.
That's when you have sense. That's when you think. That's when you begin to process a lot of things. So while in the hospital, I had conversations with myself. It was a long talk. Because I would look at her. I'll go have my bath. I could not move. So she'll help me walk to the bed. Then she'll cover my leg, do everything. And I sat and I said,
Hmm.
Gbenga, God has done it for you. What are you looking for? You know. Um
That's a word for somebody.
you
God
know,
has done it for you. What are
What
you
are you
you
looking
know
for?
looking for?
what are you looking for? Um, sometimes pride can stop us from so many things. All of those wanting to make money was just ego at the end of the day. I found out that um humble decisions have lifting behind them. It was a humbling decision. Marriage is a humbling decision. It's not a very proud one. If you make a very proud decision, you find yourself in trouble because if you are marrying for ego, you're marrying for status, you are marrying because of all the things that they are. And what was it? I met her selling akara. What was the big deal? That and she didn't. I was confident of the time of mentorship and who she had evolved to from when she was 20 to who she was. She was now a woman of substance. She could stand in places, she could speak, she could do it. So what else was I looking for? And I remember during the course of when I really liked her and the thing wanted to spill over, wanted to jump out of my mouth, you know. You know, where and as a man, it was already entering my body and all of that
Hmm.
stuff. And I'll be sincere because it happens to the best of us. Um, I remember one day, I think I don't know whether it was a dream. Okay, no, it wasn't a dream. I was fellowshipping with God. That God, I have very strong feelings for this woman. I don't want to spoil it. Wanted to keep our testimony, so I didn't want to spoil it. And I saw that if I was not careful, we'll get fiscal. And I had not said anything, so I wouldn't want to get fiscal without commitment and all of that. There was something that gave me strength. And it was when I prayed, God said, He said it to me in Yoruba, that "Má jẹ oúnjẹ alẹ́ ẹ láàárọ̀," that don't eat your dinner in the
As
mornings because
breakfast.
when it's dinner, you won't have anything to eat. I will never forget that word. To confirm it, I went to a church. We went to a church to celebrate a pastor's birthday. And the pastor was preaching. And pastor mentioned the same thing. While preaching, just said that
Wow.
that there are some Yahoo boys that they've eaten their future in the present. That don't eat what you will eat, what you should enjoy later again. I told her before. So I just turned. I looked at her, she looked at me. And that kept us, you know.
Hmm.
It kept us. So after all the hospital episode, I got back home. Gbenga talk. It was hard. Instead of me to talk to her, I was talking to every other person that I think I want to get married. But I had not spoken to her. So one day I just called her. We're on the road. We're in a bus. I just told her, I said, okay now. So that thing that we've been waiting for, I will finally